to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Thank you, Michael Casey, for filling in for me for the past week. Great to be back. And joining me are my co-host, CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets, Lawrence Lewitinn, and Managing Director of International Content, Emily Parker. Good morning. Great to see you guys again.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Happy to see you.
What did I miss? What's going on?
Oh, nothing much, maybe a company going public here and there. Nothing exciting.
Well, I'm seeing with Bitcoin, some are predicting lower lows. Scott Minerd of Guggenheim predicting $10,000 Bitcoin. Still looking at what's going on in El Salvador. News from Elizabeth Warren, who wants to take a look at what the SEC is doing with crypto. So some interesting things.
Still waiting to see what China will do next. That's always tense point.
All right. Well, checking in on Bitcoin, the CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index is currently trading at 33,500 or so. Bitcoin is slightly down about 0.6%. And the CoinDesk Ether price, ETX index, is at 2103. ETH is also slightly down about 0.9%. And for good measure, the CoinDesk 20 Ripple price, XRP, right now is up about 1.2%. Contrary to the other top cryptocurrencies of the crypto market, it's up about 63 cents right now. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
All right, as the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission continues to battle Ripple Labs for allegedly selling unregistered securities in the form of cryptocurrency XRP, Ripple isn't flinching, expanding its global financial network into Japan, Egypt, Europe, and even dabbling with the NFT space. Joining us now is ASHEESH BIRLA, General Manager of Ripple and Head of RippleNet. Welcome to the show, ASHEESH.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on your show.
Great. So, I just want to address the elephant in the room. We see Ripple has an ongoing case with the SEC. Is that at all affecting business? Because at the same time, you guys are expanding.
Right. And, it is a lot of positive momentum for RippleNet. At the end of the day, our customers want value. They want a better experience than what they're used to with the incumbent financial system. And listen, we've been in the market for a number of years, building product, bringing crypto to the enterprises, and our customers love it. And at the end of the day, if we continue to deliver value, they're going to continue to adopt. And we've had a banner 2020. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, sorry, what is the relationship with RippleNet and Ripple Labs?
Right. So RippleNet is started initially as a cross-border payment network. We've been working on delivering cross-border payments using crypto technology to financial institutions around the world. And we started that journey several years ago at Ripple. So RippleNet is part of Ripple Labs or Ripple Inc. And today, we're talking a little bit more about expanding beyond cross-border payments. As crypto matures and our customers want more, they're ready to adopt. And we brought them cross-border payments. Last year, we announced lending, and now we're looking to offer more crypto services as more and more types of assets become tokenized.
So, ASHEESH, getting back a little bit to Christine's question, does the taxonomy bill that's kind of working its way through Congress right now, does that help Ripple Labs in any way and RippleNet? Also, Elizabeth Warren's call for the SEC to finally, come up with some sort of way in which they can categorize everything in crypto. Does that help you guys, or are you in any way worried about that?
I'm not worried about it. I think at the end of the day, we want clear regulation. And the United States led regulation when it came to the internet. And you saw a tremendous amount of benefits, not only here in Silicon Valley, but in the United States as a whole by being a proactive thought leader with governing the internet. but they haven't done the same with crypto. And unfortunately, there's stronger regulation in Europe and in Asia, and we're seeing more and more crypto projects move to those regions. And so, we welcome thoughtful, proper regulation, and I think that's been missing. I'm excited to see what comes out. I'm confident in our governing body that they will come out with the right kind of regulation that not only protects consumers, but also enables companies like Ripple, Coinbase, Circle, and others continue to innovate in this space.
So just back to XRP for a second. There's kind of an interesting chart that we showed on the show last week. Can we just pull up that chart? So anyway, well, I think there's a chart. What the chart said was that, XRP, which has experienced some dips recently, but looking at the CoinDesk 20 over Q2, actually was one of the best performing coins out there. And I'm just curious, what you would attribute that to.
Listen, I've been in the industry for a long time. I've been at Ripple for a long time.
Just to call it, so they're kind of an amazing chart. You can see XRPs all the way on top there. This is a Q2 chart, which is even more striking considering, that the uncertainty around the SEC. So yeah, I'm just curious to what you would attribute this to.
I'll go back to, if I think anyone that's been in the space for a long time, and I've been building products for a long time, the thing that I focus on is delivering customer value. And if you're looking at the price day to day or even week to week, I think you're getting distracted. So I don't look at, price of XRP, of Bitcoin or Ethereum on a daily basis. I really look at the innovation that's happening in this space. And, if there continues to be strong innovation, I think adoption and liquidity will follow in the relevant cryptocurrencies and digital assets. But I think it's really easy to get distracted by the price. And again, if you're in it for the long term, this is a 20-year ecosystem that needs to be built. We're only 8 to 10 years in here, still really early innings from my perspective.
So ASHEESH, speaking of the innovation, go ahead, Lawrence.
I'll let you go. No, that's all right.
ASHEESH, speaking of the innovation, Ripple has joined a $13 million funding round in Mintable, which is an NFT marketplace in Singapore. What's the thinking behind this move?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning, is when we got started several years ago, there was really only a few cryptocurrencies, and companies and enterprises as a whole were reluctant to adopt crypto. Now, fast forward 7 years, and there are more and more assets being tokenized, either existing assets like fiat, but also NFTs. And we think it's really exciting that we're really early in the NFT space, and there's an opportunity for Ripple to provide NFTs to their enterprise customers. We also think that there's an opportunity to use the XRP ledger for not only tokenization of NFTs, but also making them liquid. So we think NFTs are early. We think that there's a long way to go in terms of mass adoption of NFTs, but this is the time to get in. We're going to invest, heavily in this space. NFTs is led by our division RippleX, and we're excited to do more in this space. I think this is just the beginning.
So ASHEESH, El Salvador, of course, adopting Ripple as legal tender. Your business is in the remittances in a lot of ways. So what does the widespread use of Bitcoin in countries like El Salvador mean for your business?
Yeah, I think you mean El Salvador is proposing to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Oh. I think it's great. And I think that more and more countries around the world, at some point, their central banks will hold digital assets across the board. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that it's not surprising it's coming from the emerging markets. The emerging markets, need an advantage over the more developed markets, and cryptocurrencies and digital assets is a great way to see that happen and leapfrog some of the Western world. And I think as a whole, you've seen blockchain and digital assets continue to be adopted at far greater pace in the emerging markets out of Asia, Latin America, and so forth. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's those countries that I'm finding to be forward thinking in cryptocurrency and digital asset regulation. That's really different than how the internet was governed and the United States taking a leadership position in the internet governance.
But is it a competitive, does it put any pressure on your ability to do business in, say, El Salvador and other countries if they're adopting another platform such as Bitcoin to do remittances?
Absolutely not. I think that at the end of the day, cross-border, if El Salvador is accepting of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, I think one is just the start. They'll start with Bitcoin and they'll move to other digital assets in the future. And in the secondly, I think that they're going to need to exchange Bitcoin for other assets, whether it be other fiat currencies cross-border or other digital assets across the board. And, NFTs could be one of them. And again, we'll be there. We have the leading enterprise solutions. So as corporations and governments want to adopt cryptocurrencies more broadly, I think we're well positioned, and it's great. I think it's an absolute benefit that El Salvador is already moving forward with Bitcoin, and I think they will follow suit with a number of other blockchain technologies and other tokenized assets, and that is going to be great for where we're headed with Ripple and RippleNet.
Yep, greater adoption, and I join you in hoping we see more developments on the U.S. regulatory front. All right, thank you very much, ASHEESH, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that was ASHEESH BIRLA, General Manager of Ripple and Head of RippleNet. Coming up, checking in on Asia and the crypto markets update with legendary investor Jim Rogers. And now for the daily forecast, an update on what's happening in the Asia crypto markets. Here's Justin Solomon of Forecast News.
Welcome to the daily forecast, July 12th, 2021. I'm Justin Solomon of Forecast News, covering all things blockchain, filling in for Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Coming up, Korean banks extend contracts with crypto exchanges, albeit temporarily. AXIE Infinity token prices surge, and the latest way to earn your crypto rewards, bathroom breaks. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world. The only 3 Korean banks to offer real name accounts for crypto exchanges have all decided to offer temporary extensions on their contracts with those exchanges. Their contracts with Bithumb, Coin1, Upbit, and Corebit will only be extended to September 24th. Why? Well, that's when new government regulations designed to make trading safer and more transparent come into place. On top of demanding government regulations, banks have come up with their own set of rules for exchanges.
은행연합회가 새롭게 제정해서 4월 말에 각 은행에 통보한 지침 와락 내용이 방대하고 까다롭거든요. 그러면 그만큼 가상자산 거래소에서도 그에 대한 대응하는 관련 자료를 제출하는데 시간이 필요하고, 또 은행의 입장에서도 그만큼 그 심사를 하는데 상당한 시간이 필요하기 때문에.
Last month, we reported that auction house Sotheby's was to make the sale of a diamond of over 100 carats possible using cryptocurrency for the first time ever. Well, the hammer came down here in Hong Kong at 95.1 million Hong Kong dollars, or around 12.3 million US dollars. According to Sotheby's, that's the highest price for any jewelry or gemstone purchased with cryptocurrency. Spokesperson for the auction house told us they can't disclose which cryptocurrency the buyer chose to use for their 101.38 carat diamond, but it had said that Bitcoin or Ethereum would both be acceptable when announcing the sale. And speaking of cryptocurrencies, a quick check of the markets now. Bitcoin up just over 2% at a little over 34,000 US dollars. That's as of 4 p.m. Hong Kong time today. And in the top 10 for cryptocurrencies, a day of mainly green. We saw Binance Coin up almost 5% and Uniswap up 4%. Over in the gaming world, players of Vietnam-based AXIE Infinity have seen token prices surge. According to data from CoinMarketCap.com, the game's AXS token hit an all-time high of $19.52 over the weekend, up 275% since the start of the month. AXIE Infinity is a play-to-earn game where players train and battle creatures called AXIES, all of which are NFTs which have to be bought on the AXIE marketplace. There's been a significant increase in the number of users since the marketplace migrated to the Ronin sidechain on the Ethereum network at the beginning of May. And according to data from TradingView.com, the price of the ecosystem Small Love Potion token, which is essential for breeding AXIES, has doubled in value since July 1st. However, getting into the game can prove difficult. The cheapest price paid for an AXIE over the weekend was almost 350 US dollars. The most expensive ever sold went for the equivalent of 130,000 US dollars at its time of sale. Can't afford to buy yourself an AXIE? Well, how about gaining rewards for bathroom breaks instead? Korea's Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology is offering just that. A visit to their eco-friendly toilet will see deposits being converted into biogas and organic fertilizer. Users will also be flush with rewards in the form of digital currencies known as FSM or Feces Standard Money, which can be spent at shops on campus.
동본이 화폐는 가치의 기준이 금이라든지 아니면 인간 노동, 시간 이런 데 있지 않고 인간 본연의 가치 속에 있는 화폐입니다. 그래서 한 사람이 누는 똥은 모든 사람이 똥을 누고 그 똥이 가치가 있다면 모든 사람이 가치롭게 되는 거잖아요. 그래서 거기로부터 출발한 것이 동본이 화폐고.
Earning crypto for answering nature's call. And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. For more, visit forecast.news. I'm Justin Solomon of Forecast News. Until next time.
The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
All right, time for a live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XVX index is currently trading at 33,400 and change. Bitcoin is slightly down for the day, about 85 basis points, and the CoinDesk Ether price ETX index is at 2103. We're seeing ETH down almost 1% over the day. All right, and joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Jim Rogers, famed commodities investor, author, and co-founder of Quantum Fund, along with his partner, George Soros. Welcome to the show, Jim. And so, all right, the SEC says Bitcoin is a commodity. You are an expert in commodities. So I wonder if you agree. And if so, how does it move compared to other commodities out there?
Well, if you mean a commodity in the sense that everything is a commodity, you're right. But it's in the sense of normally used by commodities, things that grow or that you can, metals or energy or something. I don't think many people would call it a commodity yet. It may become a commodity, no. But it certainly moves much more dramatically and much more excitingly than cotton or some of the other commodities that are out there. Sure, of course, some days lumber skyrockets and some days collapses. But the cryptocurrencies seem to be have been anyway, much more exciting as trading vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
now,
Jim, good to see you.
You said that you regret not buying Bitcoin, and yet you're warning governments may outlaw cryptocurrencies. You know, shots have been fired like this by many investing giants, most recently Ray Dalio, who told CoinDesk earlier this year that Bitcoin's greatest risk is its success and that governments can ban it if it became too successful. But We're seeing that play out right now. China has been banning Bitcoin every year. It hasn't gone away, and El Salvador is adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. So outlawing Bitcoin has, been seen as kind of like outlawing the internet. You can try, but it's a game of whack-a-mole.
When I said I regret I hadn't bought it, listen, anything that goes from $1 to $60,000, I don't care what it's called, I wish I'd bought it. Are you kidding? Anything. That's what I meant when I said I wish I'd bought it. Maybe I would have made a little money or not. And I'm delighted El Salvador is doing this, but if you're hanging your hat on El Salvador, with all due respect, it's a nice place to go and visit, but it's a country of 6 million people with not much stability and not a lot of smart leadership. So I would hope that somebody would find a better place than El Salvador to use. I mean, China, as you point out, China's essentially banning Bitcoin. Between China and El Salvador, China is much more important.
So, Jim, great seeing you again. What happened? How did you finally go, you know what, all right, fine, I'll look at Bitcoin. It's at least of interest. I mean, are you putting any money in it now, or are you just still on the sidelines here?
No, I have never bought nor sold any cryptocurrency, neither long nor short. I have been observing for a long time, since early years. But no, again, you had an earlier guest who was talking about the value. I still haven't seen any value here. He was talking about currencies, fiat currencies. I mean, fiat currencies have no value either, except somebody says they have value. The difference is, of course, that fiat currencies are backed by governments all over the world. That gives it value, whether we like it or not. I don't know who gives cryptocurrencies value except some players on the internet.
But do you see that the scarcity argument made about Bitcoin, that there are only 21 million that will ever be minted, as far as, for now at least, that argument for any kind of commodity where there's scarcity, be it gold or any hard commodity, and given the Fed and the federal government's expansion policies, do you see that as potentially continuously adding bullish momentum to any of those hard commodities and Bitcoin?
Well, supply and demand are obviously important for everything we do in life. And yes, I mean, there is a scarcity of Bitcoin, but unless there's somebody going to buy it, Lawrence, what difference does it make? I mean, who cares? And we'll see. If the government somehow or another say, guys, you cannot use Bitcoin, I suspect most people will not use it. Now, I certainly won't if it's against the law. I'm not suggesting it is against the law. No. A lot of my friends have made a lot of money in it. But if, the crypto guys say, this is going to be currency and we're going to replace currencies. Let's say they're successful. Lawrence, my view is if they're successful, governments are going to say, no, you're not. Governments don't like to lose their monopoly. Governments don't like to lose their control. The U.S. dollar is going to be on the phone soon. All governments are working on it right now. And I cannot imagine that if the U.S. dollar says, okay, here's the U.S. dollar now, this is where it is. But if you want to use that currency over there, you can use it. That's not what history shows that governments do. Well, El Salvador, yes. But China, U.S., others, I doubt it.
Well, the thinking is that El Salvador is the seed that will eventually grow, that Bitcoin is for the unbanked, and that this will be a domino effect of sorts, a ripple effect around the world for countries that feel, or countrymen who feel disenfranchised by their governments and central banks, and their currencies are worth nothing.
Christine, hooray! Let's hope it happens, because then you'll have a long program. You'll have job security if that happens. We will all be watching CoinDesk the rest of our lives. We'll see. My reading of history is that's unlikely, and certainly my reading of history is that El Salvador has rarely, if ever, been a trendsetter that the world followed. But it's a great country. You should go and visit. It's a wonderful, wonderful country.
Theme music.
Yeah. Going back to the government ban question, I mean, do you really think it's realistic that the United States would actually try to prevent people from buying or selling Bitcoin? I mean, you know, the United States and China are obviously very different. And in the US, you have these really big institutions. Companies putting Bitcoin on their portfolios. I mean, do you really think that's a realistic prediction for the United States?
Good questions. What I said was if it becomes successful as a currency, I doubt if the U.S. governments are going to say, okay, you can compete with our currency and use it instead of ours. That's an entirely different thing from being a trading vehicle. If it's a trading vehicle, it doesn't, who cares? By all means, anybody can have anything they want to trade. You know, people used to trade eggs. Nobody objected if people traded eggs. They did have a use. No, Christine, I am not suggesting that the government has a reason, except for the fact that it might become a competitor, and then the government is going to act. That's the way these guys in Washington and Rome and London think. I don't particularly like the fact that we cannot have competing currencies, but they have the guns. I don't have any guns. And if they say it's against the law, I doubt if I'm going to use it. Or if they put on other regulations.
Given the risks that you just pointed out, say, you know, a young person comes out to you and they say, okay, I'm just starting my portfolio. Like, what percentage would you advise that they put into cryptocurrency, or should they put anything into cryptocurrency?
Well, my answer to that would be you have to make your own decision and invest in what you know about. I have zero, and I've never had zero, long nor short, any cryptocurrencies. I wish I'd bought Bitcoin at $1. I'd be rich now, but I didn't. You know, it's not my first mistake, Christine. I made many mistakes in my life.
So, Jim, looking at let's step back and look at the global macro picture, but particularly in the United States, we have the government, of course, looking to get involved in more spending. We have the Fed saying that, all right, they're going to be a little bit more hawkish now than they were a few weeks ago. So be it. But do you see us going into kind of like a Japan-style post-1990 malaise that could last for decades, or do you see us potentially just inflating our way out of this?
We already are inflating our way out of it, Lawrence. You know, open up the newspaper or the TV and you'll see America's never printed so much money in recorded history. America's never, ever been so, no country has ever been so deep in debt as the United States is right now. We're inflating as fast as we can, printing, but not just America. I mean, the head of the Bank of Japan goes to work every day, and his word is he's going to print unlimited. That's the word he uses, unlimited amounts of money. This is happening all over the world. Is it good for the world? Absolutely not. Your view, or someone there, view is, at Coinbase, the view is it's good for cryptocurrencies. We will find out. We will definitely find out. It's certainly not good for paper money, but in the end, it never has been. It's always led to other uses, other things.
But can we just see just a long-term malaise?
In the 1920s, the United Kingdom was the largest number one country in the world, the richest, most powerful country in the world. There was no number two. Lawrence, 50 years later, it was bankrupt. IMF had to fly into London airport and bail them out. They went from number one with no competitor to bankrupt in 50 years. That could very well happen to the United States. It's happened in many, many countries in history. You mentioned Japan. I mean, Japan has had 30 years of lost decades now. Things have been dismal there. At the moment, they're printing a lot of money. Markets are rallying. But I would suspect that 50 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll look back and say, boy, that was a great country. Unbelievably good sushi. It's too bad about Japan.
Jim, that's a dismal outlook. But I'm wondering, what do you see value in right now? Then, as an investor, what are you investing in?
right now I find agriculture and agriculture is something you can use. I mean, we can use wheat or cotton or whatever it happens to be. I'm not sure how we can use cryptocurrencies. Agriculture has been a disaster for decades. I would much prefer myself to buy agriculture than to buy cryptocurrencies. But Christine, don't listen to me. Let people invest in what they know about and what they want.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see about that. People still want to attain the success that you've achieved over the years. So we'll have an ear for you and what you have to say.
I have made many mistakes in my life. You want to hear about my first wife? Oh my God, what a mistake that was.
That's for the next show.
What a mistake that was.
Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
My first wife is not your next guest.
Well, actually...
Yeah. Coming up after the break. All right, Jim, thanks so much for joining us. That was Jim Rogers, Pilates investor, author, and co-founder of Quantum Fund. Coming up, our global policy and regulation update with CoinDesk managing editor Nick Day.
CoinDesk Indexes, the market standard for crypto assets since 2014. Our trusted data powers billions in publicly traded funds. CoinDesk Indexes are the standard used by institutions, and they're the key for investors looking to understand and access crypto markets.
As the company that launched the world's first ever Bitcoin ETF, we at Purpose chose the CoinDesk Bitcoin Price Index, the XBX, to price our assets.
CoinDesk Indexes enabled the early adopters to build crypto investment vehicles, and they're already trusted by a new generation of global investors.
Welcome back. Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Welcome to the show, Nick. So Virgil Griffith, the Ethereum developer who has been charged with violating U.S. sanctions law in North Korea, has violated his bail conditions according to U.S. prosecutors, and they want him to return to jail. What's going on there?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one. So U.S. prosecutors filed a letter to the court on Friday, basically saying that Virgil Griffith had violated his bail conditions by trying to access $1 million in crypto that he had at an exchange. What's really interesting is that they included a snippet of Mr. Griffith's communications to the unnamed exchange, and in it, Mr. Griffith says that his lawyers told him it's okay for him to access these cryptos. So, this seems, almost like it sure sounds like Virgil Griffith thought he had permission to access this crypto, and prosecutors disagree. So I'm kind of curious, what exactly happened there. I have not had a chance to speak with Brian Klein, who is Mr. Griffith's attorney. So I'm not sure what that end of the story is, but at the very least, it definitely seems a bit more complex than just, Virgil Griffith's trying to flee the country by accessing crypto.
Nick, what's happening on the Binance front? Are there any news on that, or is it just still kind of at the same place where we were last week?
So there haven't been, much in the way of new enforcement actions or warnings yet by national regulators, but it does kind of feel like we're in the holding pattern. We are, I think, going to see more coming. The big one's probably going to be from the U.S. We've known for quite a while that the CFTC and the DOJ are investigating Binance. So if those, investigations conclude and lead to enforcement action, that might be the big linchpin here for a lot of these cases that are happening internationally.
All right. Thanks, Nick, for the update.
Thank you.
That was CoinDesk managing editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com. All right, let's check in with Crypto Twitter with our tweet of the day. This one from Zach Voll, the Compass Mining Director of Content, tweeting that JP Morgan doesn't see, quote, any tangible economic benefits from El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, along with a full report. So mirroring a lot of what Jim Rogers has just said. All right, well, that's it for First Mover. Thank you, Emily Parker, our CoinDesk Managing Director of International Content, and Lawrence Lewitinn, Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets. I'm your host, Christine Lee. I'll be back live at 3 p.m. with all about Bitcoin. Coming up at noon is The Hash. You're watching CoinDesk TV.
Thanks. That was a trip.